Everybody trying to be content creators and trying to go viral. You want to go viral?
Okay, you want to go viral. Let's go viral then.
Say less.
Let go.
Let's embrace it. Let's love it. Let's enjoy it. And let's give them the experience of their life. That's Roswell for you, baby. Come together. And guys, this is Speaking Out Loud. I appreciate you guys joining us. Don't forget to share and dance like you just don't care. It's early in the morning. Let's have a day. And like I said, be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Shout out PMS. Shout out PMS. Good morning and welcome to Speaking Out Loud. I am your host, Rene Ruiz. And today, unfortunately, we shall have a moment of silence for the absence of my co-host, John Borba. Jay, the producer in the background. Let's just bow our heads and for the missing of our pal there on the show. Yeah. Well, our buddy Borba is on a work mission this morning. He's heading over out of town to go deliver a cell. So good luck to Borba, and hopefully his cell does come through. But on the show today, God, we have an action-packed show. I will have my boy E-Rob joining the show here in a little bit. Super Packer fan. He'll be joining us here in a little bit. I'm joined also by my boy Jay in the background. Jay, the producer. We'll go down the NFL Week 5 slate. We'll drop into a little bit of fantasy football here later on in the show. Also talk about the drama that's going on in Cleveland with the quarterbacks. There's a little bit of UFC going on this weekend, Jay. Hey, Jay, there's actually a hell of a weekend this entire weekend. We kick it off on Saturday with some college football. We got the UNM boys, trying to keep momentum going after that beatdown they put on NMSU last week. And you got Diego Pavia, our other boy, being put on the biggest platform. College football game day is heading over to Tuscaloosa. He's being put on the platform that he's been wanting, and now it's time for him to deliver, and we shall see how that works. And later on in that day, we will have some BKFC. Jeremy Stevens is fighting Mike Perry in bare knuckle. I don't know how many of you guys watch bare knuckle. I've only watched a couple fights. It's gruesome. It's kind of gross, but if you're an edgy fan of fighting, it's not a bad sport to watch. It's fun. The boys throw down. It's a lot of dogs in that league. I wouldn't do it personally. That's tough. That's tough, man. Getting punched in the face, just straight knuckle. That straight dog. That takes you back to them days, boy. Take you back to them days. But after that, you got the UFC pay-per-view as well. You got Ankalaev fighting Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight title. And in the main event, you have Merab Dvalishvili, and he's going against Corey Sandhagen for the co-main event, and that's for the bantamweight belt in the UFC. That fight should be fun. I was watching the so they dropped the countdown show on Monday. I was able to watch it yesterday. Typically, what UFC fights, what'll happen is sometimes you won't know that they're happening. And then they'll drop the countdown, and then the countdown kind of gets you a little antsy, gets you a little excited. And then they drop the embeddeds, and you kind of follow the fighters a little bit slightly. Then you start looking into their socials. Then you start looking at X to see what the reactions to the fights and the interviews are. And then all the interviews start to come out. The interviews are really starting to come out yesterday. I didn't get to watch too many. These interviews are tough for me to enjoy just because. I don't want to sound like all the Bad Bunny haters right now or Fox News, but it is a little tough when none of them speak English. So the main event in this UFC card, Ankalaev and Alex Pereira don't speak English, so it's a lot of translation, and I don't like it just because it's hard to buy into the fighter when the words aren't coming out of their mouths. Because a lot of the times the translators, I mean. No disrespect to the translators. I'm sure that's an extremely hard job, especially whenever they're blurting out a million different, like a 2-minute sentence, and then now you got to translate 2 minutes of verbiage. That would be tough. I wouldn't say, but it's hard to buy in. It's hard to buy in. But so then you just go look at their previous fights, and you just go, okay, Alex Pereira is a dog. Alex Pereira puts people to sleep. Alex Pereira is a KO machine. I mean, we saw, and the last time he got, I mean, the one fight that he lost was against Izzy. You could make the argument that if they fight 9 out of 10 times, Alex Pereira probably wins. If you go back to that Israel Adesanya fight, the first one obviously he beats Izzy, right, and then the rematch Izzy gets him back. But if you go back and you listen to Izzy's interviews, Izzy says he was starting to get damaged again by those leg kicks, and it's I don't want to say it was desperation, but I think he knew he had to get the knockout soon, or else if he went into that third round, it was going to be tough, tough, because that leg was going to start to give out. So, but Alex Pereira moves up to light heavyweight, goes and wins the title, goes on a remarkable run, just fight after fight, very active fighter, which is what we love. The one thing about fighting is it's hard to follow a fighter because they fight so inconsistently. Like it is tough whenever a fighter only fights once a year, right? Because you only get to see your fighter once a year, and then if it's a boring fight, you got that bad taste in your mouth of their previous fight, and now we sit where we are. Ankalaev, not the most exciting fighter in the world. He's one of those. He's from the Dagestan tree, so a lot of huggers. Um, a lot of huggers, and they try to say it's wrestling. I don't know if I would define it as wrestling if you're just trying to lay on top of somebody, but give me Alex Pereira just for the sake of UFC promotion, for the excitement. It seems like Alex Pereira is a better champion just because I mean neither of them speak English, but Alex Pereira has been so polarizing without even being able to speak English. Uncle Live is seems to be a little more active, as both of them are kind of talking trash to each other. Um, I'm looking forward to it. This is the one pay-per-view I think that has not had that much excitement to it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Jay. It's kind of weird. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about week 5. We have a Thursday night football game tonight. You got the San Francisco 49ers heading over to SoFi Stadium, just down the street, SoFi Stadium, to go ahead and play against the Matthew Stafford led Rams. Matthew Stafford, who seems to be on quite a run with his team right now. The Rams got a hell of a defense. Hell of a defense. Right now, their weakness is they're giving up 4.5 yards to two rushers, and giving up 4.5 to rushers or two running backs is it's gonna be a tough outing when CMC comes into town. The one thing about 49er fans is that they do travel. We have seen situations where 49er fans completely take over stadiums, and I don't know that it doesn't happen today. You got San Francisco down the street from LA. We've seen the Red Sea is what they call it, right? They flood the stadium, and it's very noticeable when you see red out there. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of tonight. We're probably going to see flooding of the Red Sea out there in LA. I expect it to get very loud. There's been people that's come out and said the Rams are pumping noise. It's not really the fans that are getting loud and rowdy. It's just the ownership who just continues to pump fake noise out. Which if they do, who cares? Make it loud. Make it as loud as possible. I like it. Maybe it gets the fans to interact just a little bit, to get a little more rowdy, to get a little more wild, to create that college atmosphere that every player wants for every week, right? But CMC is coming to town. You're giving up 4.5 yards to carry. That is tough. I expect CMC to have a solid game. Thursday night football has been a little tough these past couple of weeks, but finally, I think we have a hell of a matchup here with the Niners and Rams. Um, give me the Rams. I'm gonna take the Rams here, but well, as I make this pick, let me go ahead and bring on my boy E-Rob so we can go through a couple of these games and make our picks here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome super fan of the Green Bay Packers, Earl Robinson. Yes, Earl.
Good morning. Good
I'm
morning.
I'm missing my boy JB. So it's me
Okay.
and you rocking the show today. I was just talking about San Francisco fans being able to travel and sometimes taking over stadiums. You think that has a real effect on the mentals of some teams?
I think it does in general. And this isn't a shot at the Rams, but I would say from most of the games that I've seen on TV, it seems like that's pretty common for the Rams. They don't necessarily have a super strong home field advantage. I think a large part of that is, they've only been there for 5 years or so now after moving. So in general, I think it does have an impact, but the Rams are probably pretty used to it, as I think their stadium is about 50-50 every week.
Yeah. Which is it's kind of sad because they've brought a Super Bowl to the city, so you would
Yeah.
think the city would completely buy in, and as for as big as LA or just California in general is, but it's real diverse, right? So, I 49ers seem to have the better culture, so if I were to have to pick and not knowing much about football, right? If you were just to come into it blind and you were just to go based off the culture, you'd probably lean towards San Francisco, right? I mean, the fan base is already bought in. They seem like they have a foundation as a fan base. They have a set foundation. I mean, like you said, you look at SoFi and you don't really know who's the home team week by week. So I would lean towards San Francisco if I was blind coming in to the league and just trying to pick a team. But just in these two, if these were the two options. But what's your expectations from this Thursday night game tonight?
Yeah, man, this is one that I think was circled on the calendar. I think a lot of people were sleeping on the 49ers, myself included, when Brock Purdy got hurt, George Kittle got hurt, and next thing you know, Purdy's coming back and they're 3-0 before last week, when they lost to the Jaguars in a close game. So the Niners have been very competitive, especially for having a couple key injuries, right? You lose your quarterback. That's tough
Yeah,
to
and
overcome.
it's been reported that Brock Purdy will be out tonight, and Mac Jones will make his start or make another start yet again.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a big division matchup. Both teams at 3-1. It's unfortunate that the Niners come in so banged up because this is one that I mean, I think it'll be a good game either way. I think Shanahan's a good enough offensive mind that the Niners will be competitive, but I think the Rams win. I don't know that I would expect them to cover. The line has moved quite a bit. The Rams are 8.5 point favorites,
Gosh.
which that's a lot of points. But I do think the Rams win, and I think it's in LA, big division matchup. Niners don't have a couple starters. The Rams need to win this game.
Yeah, and the Niners kind of set themselves up pretty to be able to lose. I mean, it would have been good for them. It would have been nice for them to have won last week, obviously, right?
Yeah,
It was a tough game with the Brock Purdy having a couple turnovers, and they only lost 26-21 to the Jaguars. But if we look at their schedule, um, let's say they lose today, they'll fall to 3-2, and then they got the Bucks the following week. So I would think maybe 3-3 if they're still carrying those injuries, and then it gets. I mean, I don't want to say it gets easy, but it's very winnable games even with injuries. You got the Falcons, the Texans, and the Giants. So you got a 3-game slate where you can come out 3-0 even with all those injuries. But I mean, it's the NFL, right? You still got to play these games. These
yeah.
guys get paid just as much, so not everything is just a handout. But do you feel good about the Niners going forward, or are we feeling a little nervous energy for that fan base?
I think it'll depend on how long Brock Purdy's out. I don't know how long they can sustain winning with Mac Jones. Their defense is still good, so I wouldn't write them off by any means. But I don't. I think the NFC has a lot of good teams. If you start to look at,
Feels like
there's
it, yeah.
there's 7 playoff spots, right? And if you go through the divisions, like starting with the NFC West, the Rams and the Niners and Seattle, I think, are all 3-1. So they're
Yep.
like that's a tough division. You look at the NFC North, you got the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions. I think in the South, Tampa Bay should win that division, but the Falcons are still competitive. And then in the East, I mean, Philly should win that division, but like the Cowboys are doing better than expected. The Giants with Jackson Dart now, who knows? And even the Commanders are, I think, 500 and not had Jaden Daniels for the last 2 weeks. So
And he is questionable to return this weekend. It's day to day, so we'll find out probably tomorrow morning. Um, but you know, Marcus Mariota hasn't been playing too bad, so he might be able to hold one more for him.
yeah,
That'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, you're right, man. The NFC is pretty stacked. It's going to be interesting. That's the beauty of the NFL right now. It just seems like we don't know. I mean, you
yeah,
even look over to the AFC and you look at the Browns, and you're like, how are they still alive? How are they still alive over there? But
yeah.
speaking, real quick before I move on to the Browns, so you did say you had the Rams, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Cool. All right, the Browns. A lot of drama. A lot of the QB drama doesn't stop, and it feels like it's going to continue. Um, the Joe Flacco did get benched yesterday, which finally, thank you Cleveland for making it happen. I mean, it shouldn't have taken this long. I felt after week 1 we kind of knew exactly what we were going to get from Joe Flacco, and it was like, all right, let's go ahead and give these rookies a chance. So yesterday, um after the benching happens, Gabriel gets told that he's going to be the starter. So I went ahead and asked one of our diehard friends, Cleveland Brown fan, Logan Raider. I asked him, hey, how do we feel about this change here? And he said, it's time. Probably sounding like Bruce Buffer from the UFC whenever he said that. But he went followed by saying, Joe Flacco is a fantastic backup and mentor. Cleveland drafted 2 QBs. It's imperative they give at least one of them a shot to see what they got. Gabriel was a third-round pick. They believe he can play. He'll get the opportunity and hopefully a large enough sample size to prove his worth. He started 63 games in college. The man has played a lot of football. Now it's time to see if he can do it at the most elite level. Oh, what are your expectations from Dylan Gabriel and the Browns this weekend going against the Minnesota Vikings out there in London?
You know, I think it's going to bring a little juice to the Browns that
That's
they
for sure.
were lacking on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, even just I don't think Gabriel is super mobile, like he's going to be running like Jalen Hurts, for example. But I do think he's going to be much more mobile than Joe Flacco. And at times when nobody's open or protection breaks down, being able to run and pick up 3 yards instead of taking a sack could keep the drive alive.
Yep.
I think it will be good for the Browns. With that said, I think the Vikings do one of the best jobs of disguising defenses and confusing quarterbacks. They're a top ranked defense as it is. So it's going to be tough for a rookie quarterback to go out there and not throw a few interceptions and then, just second guess everything the rest of the game and start taking sacks. So I don't know that I love making the switch now for this matchup. I think if they were going to do it, maybe do it last week against the Lions or wait another week. Just with traveling across the country, now you're starting against a defense that blitzes a lot, disguise blitzes a lot. But with that said, I mean it's almost like house money, right? Like we know they probably were not going to win with Flacco. He's looked bad, so why not try it? But I do think expectations have to be tempered. Like that defense needs to show up if the Browns are going to stay in this one.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said weeks prior, it feels like the Browns were wasting a lot of defensive talent by keeping Joe Flacco up there. And you just got to add a little bit of juice, and I do think that's what Dylan Gabriel adds. Like you said, I expect them to come out. I mean, we're gonna know right away. I think in the first quarter, right? The energy levels from the Cleveland Browns. If it's high, you got to start off quick. The Vikings do blitz a lot, so I expect a lot of screens coming out from Cleveland. But the one thing that we do know for sure is that the Browns defense will give them additional opportunities. So I mean, they've kept them in games. I mean, you look at. A Green Bay Packers offense who we thought was is explosive. I don't want to throw too much shade at your team right now, especially on a bye week, so they can't really defend themselves this weekend. But they were able to stop such a high-powered offense like that. So I expect them to give them opportunities, especially when they're playing against someone like Carson Wentz, where you really don't know what you're going to get. We might get the same Carson Wentz we got last week, and if we do, the Browns are definitely alive. But if the Browns win, man, it's going to get interesting in that division because they're still alive. It seems like Baltimore it seems like Baltimore is probably gonna fall apart over there with Lamar Jackson missing about 2 to 3 weeks. Uh, after this game, they'll be following back up playing against the Steelers. And then that's where it gets real juicy for the Browns. If the Browns can escape these next 2 games with W's, oh, it's going to get loud. It's going to get loud. I don't know if you want to put any input on the whole Shador thing that's going on. Rex Ryan called him out, calling him immature. And then Shador's response yesterday during an interview, he acts like a mime, doesn't talk, but is talking to his reaction of Dylan Gabriel being named the starter and him still being put as the 3rd quarterback. I mean, is there any reaction to that from you, or you're just kind of like,
No, I mean, I don't even know why we're talking about it. Not we, right? But the media is
in
talking about
general?
Shador Sanders. Like he's not even the backup, right? We're going with Dylan Gabriel. Let's give Gabriel his shot. Let's talk about Gabriel. I don't think Shador needs to even be in the spotlight.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is like, I mean, like, we know why they're doing it, right? Like, the media is obviously doing it for
Clicks.
viewership. Like,
Yeah,
the guy
exactly.
obviously is going to get your eyes, but like, it's annoying to me. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily annoyed with Shador's responses, but I wish at this point he would just like decline the interview, just in general.
I don't know that he
Like,
can though.
you yeah, no, I mean, I know they got obligations, but you don't have to say anything.
Sure.
Like I don't know who said that. I saw it this morning. Um, I think it was Bryce Butler, former Cowboys wide receiver. I think it was him. He said sometimes saying less means more. And I think that's what a lot of these rookies. I mean, you even got Will Levis. I mean, not Will Levis. Cam Ward saying like calling their play ass, and
Yeah.
then that gets blown up to more than what it is, right? And to him, he's just like, yeah, we're playing like crap. Like it is what it is. But then the media blows it up into this big old thing, and then now you're gonna go ask your defensive end how you feel, and then the defensive end agrees. So now the media blows it up into a bigger thing than what it is, and now you got dilemma in the locker room. I mean, we see it with Philly and AJ Brown and all that, right? Yeah, just sometimes saying less means more, and I think right now that's where we're at with Shador. It's like it. There's no other 3rd string quarterback that we know about. Like I barely know about our own backup in Milton and Dallas. Like this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's crazy, and it's starting to get annoying that they're just shoving the camera in his face. But at this point, I'm like, come on, Shador,
I
let's just
agree.
shut all this crap down, man. Come on,
So you're
let's move
saying
on.
Shador should not talk, maybe sit on the sideline and read a book like AJ Brown did, and the media will leave him alone.
Yeah, what was that book? What was that book called? It
I
gave
don't know, but
AJ Brown motivation. He
it
won a
became a
championship.
bestseller. I want to write a book and have somebody read it on the sideline.
Yeah, do you remember what it was called?
No, I have
It
no
was
idea.
something about the mind. It was something about the relaxation of the mind. But shut.
Yeah. No,
Yes,
my
yes,
point there is like if the media wants to make a story, no matter what
they
you
will.
do, they're going to make a story. And now that's not an excuse for reading a book on the sideline when you're a starter. Like that's a bad look as it is. But I'm just saying I think the media is partially to blame as well.
100% to blame. I think it's 100%. Why are we putting a camera in front of a 3rd string quarterback's face to begin with?
Yeah, yeah,
Like honestly,
yeah.
honestly. But we know what it is, and rage bait sells, and unfortunately, they're getting us. They're getting
Yep.
because there I am watching this stupid. Honestly, when I saw the interview, I was like, "Is my like I was hired like I was raising the volume, tripping out, like, damn, what the hell? What is he saying?" And then I read the comments, and it's like, "Oh, he's playing a meme, blah 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 blah." I was like, "Oh, kind of funny, but also." You're an adult, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know how to feel. It's a 3rd strings quarterback. I really don't care, to be honest. I just feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for the kid, but I guess that's what comes with your name at this point, right? I mean, you see Bronny James being like a 3rd or 2nd round pick or 3rd round pick in the NBA, and somehow he's the head of every headline on ESPN, like if he
Mhm.
was the 1st round pick. I don't know. I hated Jay. I hated Erod, but who do you got winning that game? Minnesota and Cleveland across the pond.
I'm gonna go Minnesota. I think if the game was in Cleveland, that they could win it, but I I just think Minnesota's defense is going to come away with a couple turnovers, and that'll ultimately kind of flip momentum, just like last week, right? Like the Browns,
Yeah.
were right in that game with Detroit. The next thing you know, Flacco throws an interception right before halftime. Lions punch it in, and they're up 2 scores receiving the ball to start the second half. And I think that'll probably be how it goes with Cleveland this week.
And I was talking to E-Rob about the I'm gonna get you and JB mixed up this whole time, so I apologize right now, E-Rob. But we were talking about when do we hit the panic button on our teams, and 2 weeks ago we looked down the Vikings schedule, and this is where we marked it. This weekend, week 5, Borba said if they lose to the Cleveland Browns, I am absolutely going to lose my shit. Is that what you expect from Vikings fans if they drop this game this weekend, even though they're in the situation that they're in with the backup quarterback?
I think
'Cause
this is a game.
Sorry, go ahead. It don't get easier, but they do have a
I
bye
think
week after
no,
this
no,
week, and then they come out playing Philly.
after this week. Yeah, I mean, they're what, 2-2?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. 2-2 going into this
Pulling
weekend.
open their schedule. I mean, they definitely want to win this game. They definitely want to
Must
win this
win.
game because
Oh my
losing to
gosh.
Steelers
Must
last
win.
week. I think no, there's no must wins in week 5.
No, look at
Like
their
it's too
schedule. Have you
early in
pulled
the
up the
season.
schedule?
Yeah, it gets a little tough. I'll agree with
It
that.
gets
Yeah, it's pretty.
ugly.
Yeah,
You want to be going 3-2 into this bye week, knowing that you got Philly, which maybe you can get them. Maybe you can get them coming off of a bye week. You got 2 weeks to prepare. So that's a game where it's like, all right, we got to win this. I mean, you absolutely have to win if you drop this game. But I honestly, the Vikings might become sellers after this weekend. They might become sellers, and we might have to start looking at how our own teams can benefit from a loss like this from the Minnesota Vikings. Like, what can we pull from the Vikings that'll benefit the Packers or maybe the Cowboys?
well, a loss would
Hmm.
benefit the Packers and the Cowboys. So I'll
This,
be rooting for the Browns this weekend without a doubt. But
for
they're
sure.
not going to become sellers because at the end of the day, you got to remember,
Yeah.
like, you can look at that schedule and say it's tough. It definitely is. But, like, the teams in their division pretty much play the same schedule. Like, we're playing the same divisions. We're playing the NFC North. They're playing the NFC North. We're playing the NFC,
Yeah.
or sorry,
I
the
get what you're
AFC
saying.
North, the NFC East, right? They play the NFC East. And then you play each other. And so those games against each other, like if you go 6-0 in your division, you got a really good shot to win your division. And they've played one division game. So I don't think, and they won that division game against the Bears. So I don't think it's like they're going to become sellers if they lose to the Browns because you've got to tack on what else happens across the division. Now, if in 5 weeks, if the Lions still have one loss, right, and you're sitting there at 500, that probably changes things. But to me, it's just too early in week 5 to even have that conversation.
Yeah. All right, I agree. I'm getting a little excited over here. My bad. Sorry, Borba, if you're listening, I apologize. Let's not
That's
panic
good.
just yet.
Go Browns. Go Browns.
Go Brownies, go Brown. It is going to be cool. It would be nice to see. It might get loud for Dylan Gabriel. I really
Now,
hope he has
I'll say
a
this:
good outing.
if the game was in the dog pound in Cleveland, I do think Cleveland could win that game because I think that their defensive line will dominate the Vikings' offensive line. I really do. But
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, with no home field advantage and a rookie quarterback getting his first start, like I said, I think the Vikings defense will make a couple plays. The offense will eventually be able to, punch those in for scores,
Yeah.
and that'll be the difference. But who knows? I mean, if you're getting pressure on the quarterback right away and you've got a less mobile quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, who could kind of buy a little bit of additional time when the protection breaks down, it's going to be a tough, long day for Carson Wentz.
For sure. And sometimes Carson Wentz does it to himself. And because he does do that to himself a lot, a lot more often than not these last couple years, I got to lean towards the Browns. I have zero faith in Carson Wentz, and I know it's 50-50. It's a coin toss on how he will perform, but I'm gonna lean on him doing exactly what he did last week, and I think Cleveland Browns come out with that win. With
Hmm.
that being said, you got Max Crosby is starting to get hot out there in Las Vegas. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm a Cowboys fan, so my algorithm is kind of feeding me what I want to see. But I've been seeing a whole lot of Max Crosby in Dallas Cowboy uniforms. There's been some nice edits on the internet right now going around. A team that might become sellers this weekend for sure, in my opinion. But they're going over to Indianapolis to face the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones, both the team coming off a tough loss, a game that they probably should have won. But the one thing that we did realize from the Colts, or not realize, but the one thing we know is that the Indianapolis Colts are legit. It feels like they're a real team to worry about this year in the AFC. It is early. It is early, so I say that now, but obviously our our perspective can change very quick, very quick, especially if they drop a game that they should win. They're favored by 6.5, 6.5 points. JT seems to be running the show over there. How you feel about this game, Ero?
Um, I definitely think that the Colts are legit. I think the Colts should win the game pretty easily. I think it's in Indianapolis as well.
Yep. In
At at the end of the day, I don't know that I trust Daniel Jones all season long to play like a top five quarterback, just based on what I've seen the last 5 years, right? Like he's had his moments and then it's
yep.
broken down and gotten ugly ultimately for him with the Giants. But maybe that's changed. Maybe the Colts offensive line, the running game, the weapons that he has, maybe he'll be able to string it out for a whole season. And honestly, I hope so. Like the Colts are a fun team to watch. Their defense is playing well. I like to root for Daniel Jones. Quarterbacks that get picked in the first round and then are labeled busts and then kind of have a comeback. Just a fun story. So I
For
definitely
sure.
hope they do well. I think they should win this week, and they're the favorites in that division. Well, I guess the Jags are also in that division, right? And so they're
Still
three
alive.
and one. We'll see what happens with the Jags, but yeah, fun story. I think the Colts should win this week.
Yeah, I like the Colts story is gonna be fun to follow, and it seems like there's always a year, or every year there seems to be that one quarterback that has a hell of a run, and why not Daniel Jones and the Colts? Why
Yep,
not
I
a
agree.
team that
All
was
right,
completely, from what seemed like Shane Steichen had lost the culture out there in Indianapolis and somehow has revived it. You know what's interesting is I didn't get a chance to really look into it, but Xavier Howard and Shaq Leonard retired yesterday. That felt a little odd, but
yesterday.
I don't. Yeah, they had two guys retire just randomly yesterday. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's developing, I guess. I'll touch on that on Monday once I read a little more into it to see why they retired. That is interesting though, especially with the run that the Colts are on right now. I don't know that. Like, why would you? It just seems like an odd time to retire with your team having so much success. But
I
JB,
think I need to
go ahead.
read on this. I need to read on this too, but I don't think Shaquille Leonard was a Colts player on this year's roster. I thought he was traded or
He's a free
released.
agent.
Yeah, I thought he
That's what
was
I'm
a
saying.
free agent, and he's just doing that thing where you go back and sign with your team and then
Mm,
retire as a Colt. I think that's right. I don't know about Howard, but yeah, let's read about that and talk about it next week.
yeah, for sure. Like I said, I didn't look into it. I just saw the tweet and then the little exit video, but I was like, Shaq Leonard, what that? But you're right. He did get released,
Yeah, I
or he
thought he
got
was
traded
playing
last
for like
season, something like that.
Philly
You're right.
last year or the year before.
Yeah. Well, if anybody knows in the comments, just drop a comment. Let me know if y'all what y'all know about that story.
All
That is
right, Renee.
interesting though. Jack.
I got one more topic that I got to drop.
All right, go ahead. What you
All
got?
right. So we have seen a handful of quarterback injuries this year, right? So
Yep.
we talked about the 49ers. They've won a few games with Mac Jones. We're now, just talked about the Vikings. They're trying to win a few games with Carson Wentz. They beat the Bengals. They almost beat the Steelers. You got the Commanders. They've been without Jane Daniels for 2 weeks. I think they split and went 1-1. Maybe they won. Actually, they may have won both of those. But anyway, they were competitive with Mariota.
Mhm.
They went 1-1 because they lost to the Falcons.
Wouldn't want. Yep.
Okay, so 3 examples of quarterbacks getting injured and backup comes in, and the team is still staying alive, right? Hoping to make it till their starter gets back. So let's talk
Yep.
about the Bengals and Jake Browning. And he and the whole team looked horrible against Minnesota 2 weeks ago, looked horrible against Denver on Monday night. Like, at what point do the Bengals come out and go make a trade for like Russell Wilson, Jameson, Winston on the Giants, right? Some of these vet quarterbacks that can win them a few games in a division that honestly is wide open. If they could
Yeah.
just go 500 and, Burrow's out a long time. I think he's out like 3 months. But if they could just stay competitive in that division until, late November and then get Burrow back and try and make a playoff run, I feel like it's a no brainer.
No, for sure. But you know what's unfortunate is yesterday, Zach Taylor, they asked him that exact question, or not that exact question, but they asked him about looking to see if they could bring in any more quarterbacks, and he said no. Browning is going to be the starter, and they plan on moving forward with him. I obviously that can change quickly based on the performance this weekend, but I agree with you 100%. The first thing that I thought last week when I saw that shit show that Cincinnati showed or displayed is like, why not Russell Wilson? Because
Yeah.
Russ isn't going to get the starting job back in New York. I mean, at
Uh,
this point, you would think he's the third guy, right? Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Cincinnati is kind of just throwing away the season when it's such a tight race. But I do expect something to happen this weekend based off of what kind of performance Browning shows. But the offensive line is so bad. Does it matter who you bring in? That's the real question.
the offensive line isn't great, but
I mean, if Joe Burrow was getting smacked around, like what's going to happen to Russell Wilson?
yeah, I mean, they gotta change their offense a little bit and get the ball out quickly. Like, I think the Cowboys playbook against Dallas, or sorry, the Cowboys playbook
Against Green
against
Bay.
Green
Yeah.
Bay Sunday night. Like, Dak was throwing the ball within 2 to 3 seconds every single play when you guys dropped back for the most part. That's how you
Shot.
make your offensive line better. Like, you got to make the game plan, and it's tough because they've got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and they want to stretch the field and use their playmakers. But if you're just getting sacked and turning the ball over, like you got to adjust
Be
something,
creative.
or Zach Taylor's going to be on the hot seat pretty soon.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like this is on Zach Taylor. Like, because he's the offensive mind, right? He's supposed to be the offensive guru. So how aren't you scheming up your team to at least look better?
Yeah.
Like right now, they just look like complete garbage. I agree with you 100%, Ero. What a great topic to bring up as I let you go here. I appreciate you joining the show, ladies and gentlemen. Earl Robinson. Yes. Have a
See ya.
day, brother. We'll
Thanks.
see you later. Well, Earl brought up some good points there. I agree with him as well. Why not? Why not make a move? Why not make a move out there in Cincinnati? It feels like they're almost tapping out. And I don't like it because you got Joe Burrow probably coming back. Let's just go look at the Bengals schedule real quick and let's just see how realistic this even is. It is a tight race in the AFC North. The Bengals are sitting at 2-2, so it's a possibility that they can make a run here. They say they're sitting at 2-2. They're second in their division, right behind Pittsburgh, who's at 3-1. They got the Lions. Oh, see, it don't get easier. Like it don't get easier. It feels like Cincinnati is the seller. I just click their schedule right now, and immediately in my head, I'm like, all right, this team's selling. Hashtag save Trey. Hashtag save Trey. Trey Hendrickson stayed in Cincinnati for this. Come on, we got the Lions, right? We got the Lions this weekend, and when I say we, I'm talking about Cincinnati. You got the Lions this weekend. I'm gonna just assume L. I didn't see anything from the last 2 weeks that tell me that this team is going to get better. They've scored 13 points in the last 2 games, and they've given up 76 points, boys. 76 points. That's absurd. We can't even say it's just the defense because this offense can't move the ball to save their life. You can't guard in the NFL for 5 seconds. You could barely guard in 3 or 2. And we're expecting these guys to guard in 5, 6 seconds. Like this team right now, it seems so desperate. And I think they become sellers after this week. I don't want to overreact. I know it's not Monday, but we got to overreact here. Cincinnati's got to make a move. They got the Detroit Lions this weekend. It's probably going to lose. And guess what? They got the Packers coming off a bye week. The Packers coming off a bye week. That's 2 weeks to prepare for this team. The only reason the Packers would lose that game is if they're overlooking it. And I don't think so, especially coming off a tie. This Packers team's going to come juiced after that bye week. So I'm going to say 2 L's. LL. That would make you 2-4. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. At this point for Pittsburgh, that's going to be 3 weeks down the line. I expect Pittsburgh's defense to be top 5 in the league at this point. Easily top 5 in the league. And it's on Prime Video on a Thursday Night Football. Come on. Come on. It's gonna get ugly for this squad. And and then after that, then you got the Jets and Bears. All right, so who are the Jets? We don't know. At that point, they're probably selling everything they got. Selling everything they got. They got Glenn out there who's trying to change the culture, but excuse me, it feels tough. It feels tough. And then you got the Bears, and then you play the Steelers again. Hey, it's about to get rowdy for Cincinnati. And the fact that Zach Taylor just came out so confidently and said that he's going to roll with Browning is just it's mind-blowing to me. I don't understand it. And I get it. You're trying to give your quarterback some confidence going into the weekend, but for me, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm selling it. He said Burrow isn't coming back. LOL. He's not coming back at all. Like he's out for the season. Has that been reported? Help me out here real quick. Let's see what else we got. When the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, they lost because the O-line was bad. Since then, they let all the best defensive players leave and did not improve their offensive line at all. It's just a horrible organization. What do you say? Can't save a guy 1 year into his huge contract. Most teams can't afford him. They did go to the Super Bowl, and it was because their O-line. And they did lose a lot of defensive players, and they didn't replace them, right? That's valid. Valid. But, I mean, it just feels like they're tapping out, and I don't like it. I don't like it. You're still alive in the division. Why not go out there and go get someone that can at least give you an opportunity? I mean, I'm sure there's a backup out there that you can get for like a 3rd or 4th round pick. I mean, Dallas got Joe Milton. I don't know if they would be willing to give him, but we've seen that gunslinger sling that damn rock. Why not give someone like that an opportunity? We can't just be tapping out. We can't be tapping out. I don't like it. If I'm a Cincinnati fan, I'm pissed. But I'm on the other side of this, and I'm saying save Trey. Let's get Trey to a team that can help his career as a winner. Hashtag save Trey. Hashtag save Max Crosby. That's where I'm at right now. And I do love those edits, seeing Max Crosby in the Dallas Cowboy uniform. I don't know how likely or how possible, but I'm here for it. Hashtag save Max Crosby. Let's send him to Dallas. If you think Ruffs gives you an opportunity to win at this stage, LOL. It's not. I'm not saying he gives you the opportunity to win, but he definitely puts you in a better situation than what Browning's giving you right now. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Russ is going to come out here and be the savior for Cincinnati. I don't think that at all. I just think that it puts you in a better situation. I mean, the only thing that I can compare it to is like the Cleveland Browns situation right now. You look at the Browns, and we were calling for Joe Flacco after week 1 because we've seen we've had a large enough sample size from Joe Flacco to know that, all right, it's time to move on. All right, let's just give our rookie a chance. All right, we have the defense. All right, we have the offensive line. And sure, Cincinnati doesn't have all those things, but at this point, would you rather go into Sunday thinking, all right, we're going to score 3 points? No. Why would you want to go out and watch that game as a fan? Why? Cincinnati's got to do something, at least to sell tickets. At least to sell tickets. Give your fan base something to look forward to. This is what we talk. Like most teams, you can talk yourself into the possibilities of you winning a game on Sunday. Most teams. When you look at this schedule, like you even look at like Carolina right now, and you go, okay, they're hosting Miami. At some point, as a Carolina fan, I feel like by Friday, Saturday, in the Delulu head of ours, right, as NFL fans, we can find a way to talk ourselves into us having a chance to maybe come out with that win, right? But with Cincinnati, I like right now, there's nothing on that team that gets me excited. And sure, they got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but someone's got to get them the ball. They ain't throwing it to themselves. So it's almost like you're just taking them completely out of the game. And maybe all this that I'm saying just comes back around and leans, and we just point the finger at Zach Taylor. You stink at your job right now. You have got to figure out a way to scheme these guys open. And like E-Rob said, Cowboys against the Packers is actually a beautiful comparison of just great coaching. They schemed up. Matt LaFleur got outcoached that day, and he should have lost. They should have lost. He got outcoached that day. Michael Parsons never had a chance, and that's not a shot at Michael Parsons. I mean, he was the game plan. The game plan was stop his side, and they executed it. You got to give them credit. If I'm Cincinnati, I'm losing my mind. If I'm Cincinnati, let's see what JV said here. It's a poverty franchise. They've only been relevant for 5 years? Question mark. Russ doesn't change anything. I don't think he's the difference in any of those games. They still lose 6 in a row. LOL. All right, guys, we have a call here. Let's see what we got. Speaking out loud, what's your name? What would you like to talk about?
Santi, we over here.
Talk to us. Talk to me, Santi. What's going on?
Man, this is I don't know what's going on with these teams, man. They need to make some trades for some quarterbacks. I think the Bengals need to go and do bring in Russ.
I'm in agreement with you. Is there anybody else that you think Cincinnati could look out for right now?
Cincinnati could go and I see they make a trade for a young quarterback. You know that boy over there in maybe Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, or something like that. They're using a lot of quarterbacks. I think they should bring somebody in.
Hey, I appreciate you, Santi. I appreciate you calling the show, bro. Have a day.
All right, see that.
Later. Well, Santi's in agreement. Dylan Gabriel is getting the start, so that's going to be a tough one. But Shador, they're not going to trade in the division, right? They're not going to trade in the division. But, hey, Cincinnati, get it together. At this point, if we're not going to make a move, Zach Taylor, you said in your interview, no, we're going to go with Browning. If you are, be more creative. Be better at your job. And we'll move on. Cheech said he'd rather Jameis than Russ. Whichever, bro. At this point, Cincinnati just needs to make some type of move, at least in my opinion. You got Jackson Dart heading over to New Orleans. Jackson Dart yesterday brought some juice, which is what we expect from Dylan Gabriel. Bringing some juice to your organization, bringing some life. And that's all we're talking about here, trying to get some life into Cincinnati. But the life can come from your coach, right? Dable. Great coaching last week. Great coaching from Dable. Trying to save his job at this point, right? This is the last move right here. Jackson Dart is basically going to be the savior of his coaching career out there in New York. And right now it looks good. Malik Neighbors goes down with the ACL. I'm still hurt about it. I'm actually disgusted by it. This affected me personally with my fantasy team I made the trade. I made it on the show. I thought I finessed Borba, and like I said, man, I got struck by the football gods. What a painful trade, giving up Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jaden Daniels. Tough luck. I do got the Giants winning this game. New Orleans with Spencer Rattler, they seem to have gained a little bit of momentum last week. Um, they are playing at home, so that does and this is a 50-50 game, right? If we're being realistic here, 50-50 game. I just think the Giants have a better defense. That defensive line seems to be buzzing, and with Jackson Dart's energy, I expect that to continue flowing. So give me the Giants. The Cowboys and the Jets. The Cowboys, we don't know how to feel, right? As Cowboy fans, we don't know how to feel right now because our offense looked amazing, right? But we can't bypass the fact that it was still a tie. It was still 40-40. So how do you carry momentum if there's no momentum there, right? Because the one thing we've known is that this offense is going to be explosive. Now, did we expect Williams to be a hell of the running back that he is right now? Probably not. But he is. And he's performing. He's probably what's keeping us alive right now. The offensive line is slightly depleted, but they've been able to adjust. And I give credit to Shoddy for his coaching here. And that's what gives me life as a Cowboys fan right now is the fact that Shoddy is out here throwing haymakers. He's scrapping. There's a couple situations where I'm like, all right, Shoddy, I wish you would have went for it. When you look back at that Green Bay Packers, there was a big fourth down. Even there at the end of the game, we're down four. We get down to the what was it, 4th and 2nd at the goal line when Micah Parsons make that game-saving tackle. Dallas at that point was averaging, I think, 6.5 yards per carry. 4th and 2, I would have loved Dallas to have gone for it to win the game. And you kind of just, if you lose, if you give up the ball there, they got to drive down from the 2 all the way down to go and kick a field goal. I would have liked that situation a lot better, but I do think that Dallas's offense carries over. I still don't want to panic on the Cowboys. I still think it's a it's a matter of Dallas switching schemes to being more of a zone defense rather than putting pressure. I would love to see a little more pressure from Eberflus, but it does feel like he's still putting us in good situations. If you just watch the film, Dallas just seems to have communication issues on defense. And there's a lot of jabs going on to my boy Trayvon Diggs. But you got to remember, this is a guy that made his career on man-to-man, taking picks back. So this is a huge adjustment, especially coming off such a massive injury. I expect the Cowboys to go into New York and or New Jersey and put a beat down on the Jets. It's a wounded team. It's a wounded team in New York right now. And this is where you have the opportunity to step on these guys' throats early, quick, and right away. And Dallas has to do that. And we're going to find out quick. We talked yesterday with Tim Foley about college football, about UNM coming off such a massive win against New Mexico State. And now he has them upsetting this weekend. And I asked him, do you feel like there's going to be a drop off because of the adrenaline dump from the weekend before? And that's kind of what I think about the Cowboys right now, right? Are they going to have a drop off from such a massive game? Sunday Night Football, Micah Parsons coming back to Dallas. La 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 la. All right, what a great performance from the offense. So hot. Are we going to ride that momentum into this week, into MetLife, and are we going to step on the throats of the New York Jets? And this is when we find out the type of coaching staff we have. As Tim said, it's a matter of coaching. Do you have faith in your coaching that they're able to switch the mindset of your team to lock into the following week and leave the week behind you, leave the past weekend behind you? And I do believe that from Shoddy. I believe that 100% from Shoddy, but we're going to find out quick. We're going to find out quick. This is 11 o'clock start here in New Mexico. Give me the Cowboys, baby. Denver heading over to Philadelphia. This is big. This is a big game here. Both, you got the Eagles undefeated, and you got the Broncos that sitting at 2-2. Obviously, there's the drama going on in Philadelphia with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And when you watch the interviews, if you just watch their body language, I think it's fair to say that they're probably lacking the bromance. It seems like they're past the bromance phase. A.J. Brown did come out and he apologized for his actions. Now, did he mean it? I don't know. If you watch the interview, it's a little tough. It's a little tough to tell. I think the only way that you satisfy him is you get him the ball. I expect that the Eagles probably make an adjustment, try to force feed him a little bit, and what'll happen there is Jalen's probably going to give us one. So I like the Jalen throwing a pick bet this weekend, which I will hammer on. And I'll post my I'll put my money where my mouth is on that one, and I'll post my bet. I'll post my bet on that one because I do think Jalen gives us one, especially against this Denver defense. I mean, who hasn't looked like uh com, I mean, they haven't looked amazing, right? But the expectation from that team is high, and I do expect them to put up a fight. This one feels like, I mean, the fact that this is at home, that's the only reason that I don't think Philly loses this game. And until they show me something different, if it's a close game at this point, like the Eagles are gonna win. I think we're at the point now. Last week we got excited. JB was saying he had faith in Baker to win them that game, and Baker probably should have, right? Baker probably should have. The Eagles score no points in the second half. They get one completion in the second half. I don't think they win this game like that. They got to perform. Um, Lane Johnson questionable. That one's tough, right? Jalen Jalen Carter questionable. Ah, man. All right, if Jalen Carter's out and Lane Johnson's out, give me the Broncos. That's too big. Too big to miss. And Dallas Goddard, we, they're well, you got knee, shoulder, groin. Knee, shoulder, groin. Now those boys will probably play. They'll get a little Toradol and keep it moving. I do like this game's gonna be interesting, man. You got the Eagles favorites at -3.5. Sean Payne, like Bo Nix is the only reason that I don't feel comfortable about this game whatsoever. I'm taking Philly here. Now that I say that, I have very little confidence in Bo Nix right now. No confidence in Bo Nix. How do you feel about the Raiders beating the Colts? Santi, hashtag save Max. Honestly, that's you got to give the only thing for the Raiders. I think you got to give Genty 25 touches, and then we let it go from there. And then you just kind of put your hands up, right? You go Ashton Genty 25 carries, and then you just go Gino, please, please, Gino, please, Gino, Gino, please, Gino, 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 please, Gino, Gino, yo, Gino, 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 please, Gino. That's Raider fans. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, Santi. Right now, that's how it feels. When I see this team, I just hit that emoji, prayer hands, and it's just Gino. Come on, Gino, Gino, please, Gino. We got to speak this into existence. Stop with the save Max. We got to talk it. We got to talk it into existence. We got to save this guy. We got to put him on a winning team. We got to put him on a winning team. And right now, it feels like the Raiders are about a game or two away from being sellers in this league, and I like it. I like it. Um, let's see what. I'm sorry, boys. Miami at Carolina. I'm going to take Miami. Let's hope Miami can continue the run. This is the post Tyreek Hill game, right? This is for Tyreek Hill. This game is for Tyreek Hill, and because of that, I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I don't know how much we'll be paying attention to that game, right? But the story for Miami, if they can bounce back, I think the storyline would be a little bit more fun. It would be a little bit more fun. Houston against Baltimore. This one's huge. I think this one's huge for both teams. You got 1-3 teams. CJ Stroud going on an interview yesterday saying, "Oh, I feel like I'm getting old. I'm a little slower now. I look back at my high school clips and boy was I fast." And it's like, yeah, CJ, of course. Yeah, of course you were. Of course you were. But you got to adjust. You have to adjust. And the offensive line, the Lermy Tunsil trade still absolutely makes zero sense. I don't know when it will ever make sense. But that trade happening might have been the beginning of the end for that team. But Houston going over to Baltimore. Baltimore having Cooper Rush as their backup quarterback. That game solely relies on Derrick Henry. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Houston Texans. I got a little more faith in them. And for Baltimore, baby, it's going to get loud. 2 to 3 weeks without Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is going to try to give it a go this weekend. But I don't know that you risk it. I don't know that you risk putting Lamar Jackson out there. At least I wouldn't. Not this week. At least give him another week. What is it? A hamstring? Come on. Come on. That hamstring could turn into 4 to 6 weeks real quick. Real quick. I would say save him one more game. Save him one more game, but give me Houston. Tennessee heading over to Arizona. Arizona's got to bounce back. Kyler Murray, all the trash that's been talking about. There's a clip that just surfaced from Bryce Butler saying Kyler Murray ain't a good leader. Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray isn't the one. I mean, guys, you got to watch that clip. It's kind of effed. It's kind of messed up. Kind of messed up. But I'm going to take Arizona. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they build off that win last week and they keep it pushing. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. Tampa Bay against Seattle. Oh, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be a fun game to watch here. It's at 2:00. Ah, what a beautiful setting for us on the second slate of games. Uh, like I told Borba yesterday, I think the Buccaneers. I think both teams are good. Both teams are fun to watch. You got McDonald over there having a hell of a defense in Seattle. That's what's been giving them hope. Um, but I think this is just a matter of the superior team going over to the 12th man stadium and just humbling them a little bit. I love this bet here with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Give me the Bucks. Now, also, I'm gonna go ahead and parlay that with the Jalen Hurts INT. Now, I'm not saying the Eagles are gonna lose. I'm just saying that Jalen Hurts is gonna give us one. I think he's gonna give us a gift. Detroit Lions and Cincinnati. Obviously, all the chatter we just had about Cincinnati. Give me the Detroit Lions. The Washington Commanders heading over to the LA Chargers. Jaden Daniels being questionable, probably not going to play right. They're probably going to sit him again. Give me the Chargers. Give me the Chargers. Come bounce back win here. All the trash that's been talked, all the headlines of is Justin Herbert the guy. They did lose another offensive lineman, so now they're down three offensive linemen, so it might get tough for them. But I expect a solid bounce back from Justin Herbert in that offense. New England and Buffalo. Jay was trying to sell me on this Drake May thing with the Patriots heading over to Buffalo. They always do somehow manage to put up a great game, and we have seen that the Bills allow teams to stay in games. So this is a very possible outcome that the New England Patriots can stay in it, and if they stay in it long enough, there's a chance that they can pull this off. But the one thing that we've noticed from the Buffalo Bills these last couple games is that they do allow teams to stay in it until they don't. And then they put belt to booty. Belt to booty. And I expect the same thing out of this. I expect a close little first half. Honestly, I don't. Honestly, I don't. Jay, I'm sorry. I was trying to talk myself into that. I don't. Man, did we see those crisp uniforms that the Buffalo Bills are bringing out Sunday Night Football? Oh, my goodness. All white and the white out. This is going to be like Penn State. But Penn State did drop the ball this weekend, so it is a possibility that Buffalo can do it. But I'm taking Buffalo by 10. I'm taking them by 15. I'm taking them by 20. Sorry, Jay. I just don't think that Buffalo loses this game at all. Come on, night game, all white. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills. And then our Monday Night Football game, we'll touch on Monday whenever I have JB back. We'll have the Kansas City Chiefs heading over to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars with the Trevor Lawrence team that, hey, we don't really know. We really don't. It's kind of like the Travis Hunter thing. We don't really know what they are. We don't know what they are, but we'll find out on Monday. That's for sure. Guys, I appreciate you guys grinding with me today. JB, drive safe out there. I hope you get your sale, guys. I appreciate you on the comments. Santi, I appreciate the call. E-Rob, I appreciate you coming on the show. To my wife and my kids, I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys scrapping with me every morning. Hey, guys, let's have a hell of a day. Be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. I love y'all.